All right. Hi, Edgar. How are you?
Hello, Douglas. How are you?
Doing fine, thank you. Thank you for coming on the show. According to your bio, you are an economist turned computer scientist.
Yes. Um, how when you go to college, you take the courses that you love to take. And that's what I did. I found that I really loved economics. I loved the way that one could think about the world as a series of systems. And that's a wonderful, actually, I got a science degree, but it's a wonderful liberal arts degree in most cases. And it kind of just prepares you for doing something else. And I found that
That's a
when
good
I
way to put it.
graduated from college, I ended up not getting a job as an economist because what do they really do? They work for banks, insurance companies, government, and I didn't end up anywhere like that. I ended up working for companies that sold computers. I ended up writing code because that's another thing that I enjoy doing. So yeah, I kind of stumbled into the computer scientist thing. But yeah, my formal training is as an economist. It is what I love to do. And so yeah, that's how that happens. So my advice to anybody taking economics, don't worry, it's great training for something else.
Good advice. I also see cryptocurrency on your bio. Were you one of the original Bitcoin guys?
Actually, not. I did know all about it, and certainly it's we have really interesting topics like the non fungible token that's coming out. But no, I was not a crypto coin miner. But what I did do is I worked for a cryptocurrency exchange as a security. Well, as a network and security and database and programming, as DevOps is what that usually gets called. And so I've had experience with that, but I'm not a miner, no. And as an economist, I kind of look at cryptocurrencies um, a little bit wryly, if you would, because it's a currency, and normally we don't call currencies investments. And people call cryptocurrencies investments, but they still call them currencies, right? I didn't go and buy, US dollars as an investment. I bought stock or bonds or something like that. I'm a little bit, yes, I've worked for cryptocurrency exchanges, but really that's because I'm very good with computer security.
Aside from it being called an investment, what do you think about the whole concept of cryptocurrency in terms of people? Should we suddenly stop using our dollars and pounds and euros and go to bitcoins? I mean, how would that affect the economy of the world?
There's some interesting information out there on other countries that are much more um, cashless than ourselves. The Swedes are very cashless. Um, so anything that people can agree to be used on for exchange can be used for the purpose of trade, right? So anything that we say has value and we can trade between each other um, is a viable currency. Where cryptocurrencies seem to go is this whole idea of holding a store of value. So it may well be a way to transfer large amounts of value. However, we already have that with other currencies, but it may be difficult between, say, see, U.S. dollars can be translated into just about anybody's currency, but let's say a Canadian dollar to a New Zealand dollar might be more difficult to do, or to something more colorful than that. So cryptocurrency may actually get us around that. So it's a very worthwhile technology to investigate. So you know that the banks are looking into this. They're going to look to find new ways to use it, and there's nothing wrong with that. No, I wouldn't get rid of my dollars yet.
Well, like you were talking about exchange rates, there are different values set for different currencies. Bitcoin is one value. Now, how would you apply that across the board to various countries?
Yeah, and what we usually find with Bitcoin is that they all get pegged back to the US dollar in most cases. So ultimately, the US dollar is used for the measure against all other currencies. So if you wanted to buy it, in Singapore, you would translate everything. Well, I guess now you're looking at Chinese renminbi. Then you're looking at transferring whatever it is in US dollars into what you would have to buy it for in the local currency. And so that's very odd that that happens. It doesn't happen the other way where we say, the US dollar is worth this much Bitcoin. We always say the Bitcoin is worth this
This
many
much.
US dollars.
Yeah, okay. So it's not quite broken away to a completely autonomous currency yet.
I agree with you. It's absolutely a very good summary. Yeah, it hasn't quite. It's a good means of exchange, but it's not a costless means of exchange. Transaction's expensive. So to expect to use it at the corner store, you might want to just have dollar bills.
Plus, I think the governments haven't quite figured out how to control it. That's another issue.
That is an issue. And so I have great faith that the government is well in hand on trying to sort out money laundering issues and things like that, because those things are very important to have locked down. There have been there's urban myth stories about people with not declaring the taxes on the speculative gains they got. Well, it is a taxable gain. So yeah, there's problems that have to be sorted out, but to everybody's credit, we are working towards that. And generally these things are good things. What we normally find with technologies is that when something comes out, we often say, this is going to be great. We often find out, there's a few pitfalls. And then what we end up doing, because commerce is this great engine that drives so much of technology, is we take the things that we can use and we incorporate them in a better system of commerce than we had before.
I agree. On that note, let's segue to your book. You've written a book called 418.
I
You
have.
have it?
I
You want to
have.
hold it up? Yeah.
I have it. I have it back there. I have it right here.
I am a teapot.
I I am a teapot. I love that. So 418. First off, I needed a name for my character, and so if you do know what 418 means, great. And if you don't, it's just three numbers. Because honestly, the man who manages 418 doesn't know his name for most of the book. Absolutely doesn't. And do we have managers like that? Yeah, we absolutely do. So 418 is a person who lives on this new immersive internet. We've developed a new technology, which is not far away, where we can be on the internet 24/7. We can see and feel anything on the internet. If you wanted to go skydiving in the middle of the night in the desert, guess what? You don't have to get out of your chair. You can feel exactly what it would feel like. And if you didn't want to pull the ripcord, that's okay. You're in your chair, so you're safe. You could possibly feel what it's like to be on Mars, I suppose. I don't know that I'd want to feel that, but we could program it that it would be safe for you. So it's a very alluring thing, this immersive internet. If you got that kind of, and of course it relies on neural stimulation. So that's the next step beyond all of the goggles, all of the headphones, is neural stimulation. And we can make it feel just like you're there. We could, if you've ever wondered what it's like to take an illicit drug, great. We can turn it right off when you're done, so that there's no side effects, no after effects, because we'll just stimulate you. If you were living like that, you'd want to spend all your time on the immersive internet. And so if you did that, you'd still need to make a living. But the happy thing is that that little chip that you use to interact with the internet, it has a little memory on it. So we can upload your job tasks, and we can probably just feed them in through Wi-Fi, so that we can make you so that you could go to work and you don't even have to know what you're doing. And if that's the case, you've just become programmable labor. And if you're programmable labor, you might as well just be a teapot.
While you were describing this, it's sort of the Matrix meets the holodeck from Star Trek, isn't it?
Okay, I can see why you would say that, but yeah, it kind of is like that. The interesting thing, though, is that in the Matrix we had Keanu Reeves who could was looking for this great architect, and I think it turned out that even he might have been the architect. Well, our character 418 is no architect. He realizes that he's stuck, and he has to. What he realizes is that everything in his life has no real meaning, even to the point where he discovers very quickly that he's never met his wife in real life, and he's married and he has kids. And now the book doesn't actually go into the mechanics of how he has kids online, because I thought that was a detour, but it's totally possible for him to have done it. He could have just, like, to have kids, he would have just had to go to the hospital and it's a procedure and he wouldn't have even noticed. And he asks his manager if he can meet his wife, because he suffered an injury and his wife thought that he had passed away. So he goes off on this quest to go, wait, what is real? And so the story becomes this journey from the encapsulation that they feel in this social strata towards 418's freedom. And his manager also has to go on the same journey. Because if there's one thing that I know about business, is that if you're not busy growing, you're probably going backward. And so his manager is actually being pulled into this new unpaid working class, which everybody refers to as the staff class. And so he doesn't really want to become staff because he knows the truth, whereas 418 didn't know this. I hope I haven't given up too much of the book.
I don't think so. No.
Oh, good,
The one
good.
the one sad part about the future in your book is that it sounds like people don't make babies the fun way anymore.
Only if you happen to be in the staff class. But here's the thing: we can simulate and stimulate you in such a way that it's even better than
Oh.
what people are doing in the regular, boring, old, unenhanced world.
Well, listen, on that note, I think we're going to have to wrap it up. We are just
Oh
about out of time.
no,
Yeah. Do you have a website that you want to give
I
out?
do. I'm Edgar Scott, so I have Edgar Scott Writes. I can be followed on Instagram on Edgar Scott Writes, and I love putting up pictures and things like that. And on Twitter, I'm eScott Writes. You can find me there. There's also a Facebook page, Edgar Scott Writes again. So I should be able to be found. You can fire me emails through my website. I know I get them. And I'd be happy to hear what people have to think of this little story. It's a, it's a happy story. The fundamentals of success are outlined in the story. So, you do what those guys do. And it's very dark, but there's some heartwarming viewpoints to it too. It's a story of friendship as well.
Great. Edgar, thanks so much for coming on the show. This was interesting.